Welcome to Farm System Chronicles. We are digging deep into baseball history. Discover stories that make this game the GOAT. Now, let's play ball.
Welcome to Farm System Chronicles, the podcast dedicated to the stories, the history, the culture, and the unforgettable characters that make minor league baseball such a truly unique sport. I'm your host, Corey Sharplow, broadcasting from the 5950 studio here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This podcast is born from a lifelong love of the minor leagues. The ballparks tucked into small towns, the communities that rally around their hometown team, and the people whose lives are truly connected to the game. Here on Farm System Chronicles, we're going to talk about a wide range of things. We're going to interview people. We're going to talk to people from owners to general managers to groundskeepers, fans, historians, and even the mascots themselves are going to share their story about the behind the scenes of this unique spot in sports. But this is not just about the crazy promos and the logos and the ballparks. It's about the players too. These young men have chased a dream since the first time they could pick up a ball. The Little League fields, the travel tournaments, the high school fields, the college program, and the draft day phone calls, hoping one day that they will be able to step to the plate in a major league ballpark and pay off that dream that they have had their whole life. We'll celebrate the players that make it, but we also want to go into the stories of the untold. The reality that for many, the dream that began in childhood eventually meets the truth of the game. The day the release comes, the day an injury changes everything, the day they realize that the major leagues may never happen. Their journey, successes, sacrifices, resilience, they deserve to be remembered just as long as any box score. Along the way, we're going to take a deep dive in the alternate identity crave that has swept across minor league baseball, from flying pork products to mythical creatures to hometown traditions, turned national sensation. We'll explore how the sport has truly entered its logo heyday, a golden age of creativity where brands, mascots, and community pride have become an art form all of their own. Whether you're a devoted fan, a collector of caps and jerseys, a road trip ballpark explorer like me, or simply someone who loves great stories, there's a seat waiting for you here. So grab your scorecard, find your spot along the first base line, and join us as we preserve the history, celebrate the personalities, and uncover the legends that make minor league baseball special. This is Farm System Chronicles, the voice of minor league lore. For our today's episode, which is our first episode, we're going to dive into a player interview from a few weeks ago. Every player in the minors is chasing something. For some, it's a childhood dream that began in a backyard, on a little league field, or in a driveway long before they were old enough to understand just how difficult that journey was going to be. For others, it's an opportunity to prove themselves every single day in a game that never guarantees you tomorrow. Our next guest knows that journey really well. Ryan McCrystal is a catcher in the Cincinnati Reds farm system, a position often described as the most difficult position to play in baseball. Catchers are expected to lead on the field, manage pitching staff, study hitters, and endure the physical grind of hundreds of innings behind the plate and still find ways to contribute offensively. In this conversation, Ryan, who is actually traveling on his off day to Pensacola for the next road trip, shares his path through the game, his faith, and the work that goes into developing as a professional catcher, and what it's like living the reality of a dream that so many baseball players have chased since childhood. We'll talk about the sacrifices, the challenges, the daily grind of life in the minor leagues, and what keeps him motivated as he continues to work towards the ultimate goal of reaching the major leagues. So settle in and enjoy this conversation with one of the many talented players writing the next chapter of baseball's future. Here's my interview with Ryan McCrystal of the Cincinnati Reds. Talking to Ryan McCrystal. He is the catcher for the Chattanooga Lookouts, also my hometown Chattanooga Lookouts. Where are you from, Ryan? First of all, appreciate you doing this. I know you're traveling. I know it's been a rough week at home with a lot of bad weather and stuff like that and lookouts. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Brandon, North Carolina. That's where I live every off season. I moved to North Carolina when I was 8 or 7, one of the two. I was born in Mechanicsville, Virginia, and then moved when my dad got relocated when I was 7 or 8.
Okay. So have you played baseball your whole life?
Ever since I could walk. My first word was ball. So I think from there on it was kind of any kind of ball I could get in my hand. And there's videos of me playing baseball when I was 1 year old in my grandparents' backyard in Delaware, just hitting off a tee or swinging a golf glove, anything I I could do swing-wise, really.
When did you start really wanting to be in the majors the Major League Baseball, or when did you start believing that was actually a possibility for you?
Well, I feel like every kid's dream is to say they want to be a Major League Baseball player. I think that was always a dream of mine. I don't know. I wouldn't say that my whole life I pursued that. I think that's the best thing about the way that my parents were growing up was it was never like, well, yeah, he's going to be a professional baseball player. It was like just growing as a person more than anything, which is awesome. And I don't think I really realized I was capable of playing baseball at a high level until I was probably 15 or 16 when I committed to East Carolina as a 2A. I was a better pitcher at the time, but I met my hitting coach and from back home, Chad Anderson. He kind of revamped the way that I think and move and all that stuff. And I think that going into my last season of high school baseball is when I really realized that like this could be a real thing if I really put everything I got into it.
What was your favorite team growing up? Were you a Nationals fan being from that up, or did you have another one?
I was a Phillies fan through and through.
Oh, man, you hurt my heart.
Sorry. My dad grew up in Delaware. Going to the Phillies games, my whole family just Philly through and through. So I still, to this day, I'll tune into any Phillies game I can really catch.
See, and that's something I've heard is like, there's this assumption that you're supposed to dedicate your life to the team that drafts you, but it's hard to just turn away your hometown favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Reds and I'm very loyal to them, but at the same time, when you grow up throwing your hat that you got on your 10th birthday as a Phillies hat when they lose in the playoffs in 2012 and you get in trouble, it's like your first real memory being a Phillies fan. You got to keep that with you.
Absolutely, and that just shows more character instead of just switching. I'm a lifelong Braves fan. Like I said, I grew up in Georgia, so when you said Phillies, at least you didn't say the Mets, so I guess we're good there. So,
my coach growing up from age 7 till I was 15 was a Braves fan, and my dad was an assistant coach, and it was always a source of bickering.
I can imagine so. So what was your experience like playing for Eastern Carolina? What was the college life like in baseball?
Well, I will correct you and make sure you call it East Carolina, because if anyone else hears you call it Eastern, they tend to take that really personally over there.
I appreciate the correction.
ECU was really, really good for me. I think it was good for me in a lot of ways that I wasn't really ready for out of high school. I was kind of a draft prospect out of high school. I kind of thought that I would kind of take the world in my hands wherever I went, and I think that I learned that there's a lot of really, really good baseball players out there. There's a lot of aspects of life that are a lot more important than baseball, and I think that you kind of learn how to be an adult on your own a little bit in college, and that's kind of what East Carolina taught me the most is, I found my faith there in my last year, which has been the biggest thing in my entire life, and just learning, like, how to deal with things when they don't go your way, because the first 2 years there didn't really go at all the way that I wanted them to, and the third year was kind of on its way that direction until I realized that trying to control things that I can't control is just going to make me a worse version of myself.
Absolutely. I understand that. And I want to talk to you about that towards the end of the interview, if that's cool. What I want to do is ask, how did you end up with the sock puppets? I mean, that is one of the most unique identities in baseball. I love their designs. I love what they do. And after learning Anderson, who is the president and GM for them, talking about them, how did you end up with the sock puppets, and what was that like for you?
Yeah, so one of our coaches at East Carolina, they assign you to summer ball teams, and as a freshman, it was more so like we're going to get the most playing time in a good league and not have to go too far away, really. And I was really lucky to land in Burlington. They reached out to Anderson pretty early on, so I knew the whole year that I was going there, and we ended up losing in the Super Regional that year, and I didn't play nearly as much as I wanted to freshman year, but it was a really good season. But 2 or 3 days after I got done, they told me, like, take your time, take a week or two if you need to, because it's a long season. Burlington ready to get after it.
So, what are the facilities like at that level?
They're pretty decent. I wouldn't say that they're anything crazy. I mean, they pretty much got a locker room and a training room everywhere, and the stadiums themselves are like older minor league stadiums that obviously once they condensed the minor league teams, they had no other use for them, and they put it to great use in that league. But I wouldn't say that it's great. I think that it's definitely, you're definitely there to play baseball. You know what I mean? You're not there for the best facilities on the planet, but they definitely treat you right. And Burlington had a really, really good setup.
That's good to hear. And it seems like at that level you have more interaction with the fans and with the front office staff than you do where you're at now, at the level you're at now.
Absolutely. I'm so thankful for the way that my entire tenure with the Sock Puppets went. You know, I think that I went in there as a 19-year-old kid that was frustrated he didn't play as a freshman, you know, kind of immature.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of learned, like, I'm living on my own, playing baseball 6 days a week. Like, I have to learn to take care of my body. I have to learn how to handle different social interactions, how to handle different relationships. And I'm so thankful for Anderson. It has been life-changing for me, just allowing me to be myself, like, very uniquely myself. I can kind of be an odd guy, you know. I get for a locker room, but very odd in general, you know, just kind of always making jokes, just saying what's on my mind, and he was very, very good at letting me do that, and it's kind of who I am, like, as a leader, and I ended up, like, learning how to be a leader uniquely myself there, and it was an unbelievable experience for me.
That's a blessing to have that. What was your most memorable moment with the Sock Puppets, if you had to narrow it down to one?
Narrow it down to one. Probably they had to have been playing and doing the home run derby my first year there, my main year there. We had the All-Star game at our stadium in Burlington, and I did the home run derby, and I hit a walk-off home run. It was like a timer, and, you know, it worked. I was the last one to go, and I hit the wall. It was pretty cool. It was really, really awesome.
That's cool. I'm actually getting to go up to Burlington towards the end of July. I'm doing a road trip where I'm going to go to a game at Burlington and Danville and do the rivalry, the highway rivalry between those two.
Oh, yeah.
So
Danville, there's not much going on there, but that's actually where my hitting coach that I talked about earlier is from. So that place has a very special place in my heart. I think I'm getting like 700 at that stadium, by the way. It's a lot of outfield there.
Well, I'm setting an interview up with several of the big time fans there, so I'll make sure I point that out to them. That you were hitting so well, and you appreciate that. You appreciate that going forward.
I do. I got a lot of confidence in that place.
So you were drafted in 24, the 8th round, correct? Which is a fairly high draft position.
Yeah, 9th round.
9th round. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
What was that process like? Did the Reds reach out? Did you know it was the Reds? Were there other teams or?
I talked to a lot of teams before the draft, but as you get really close to the draft, obviously those teams are looking really, really highly into the guys they're going to sign for millions of dollars, and I was not in that realm of conversation. But pre-draft, I remember talking to the Reds in November, and I loved the area scout. It was a really, really good conversation. I talked to probably 18 teams that winter, and just to kind of form a little bit of a relationship. That way, when they followed me during the season, they knew who they were following and that kind of thing. But the Reds stuck out to me actually right away. I remember one of my best friends, Jaden Winter, and he played ECU with me, and he lives near me back home in Duquay. We were leaving the interviews that day, and I was on the phone with my mom, and I just told her, like, I just really, really liked the way the Reds talked about their player development, like being who you are as a player and using them as resources and all that stuff. And that was in November. So it's really cool, like, looking back on that and then realizing they made my dreams come true 8 months later, you know? But I was actually playing Fortnite with my 2 best friends back home because I was too nervous to pay attention to the draft when it was going on. So I was like, all right, well, what can we do? So we were all hanging out in my room, 21, 22-year-old just playing Fortnite like a little bit of a weirdo, and I get a call and a text from my agent that says Red's taking you, and that all the contract information that he just negotiated with them. And in the middle of a Fortnite game, like top 10, with my head coach's son as the fourth player, I was like, guys, I think I'm getting drafted. Hold on, I gotta go.
That's the ultimate mic drop for you, isn't it? To just be able to say that.
It was. I feel bad, though. We were in the top 10, so we didn't get to end up winning that game. But
I think
it worked out pretty well.
I'm about to say, I feel like you're happy with the outcome.
Yeah, I'm not just about it at all.
So you started with the Daytona Tortugas, which is in the Florida Coast League. That's considered single A or low A, depending on how they want to call it nowadays. It changes. Then you moved to the Dragons, which, by the way, I've been to the Dragons Park. That's a great environment. I enjoyed that a lot. And then you moved up this year to the Lookouts. That's kind of a quick progression, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a quicker progression than I anticipated. And not that it's a bad thing at all. You know, I just think that one thing that I've tried to do in the minor leagues is not solely have the goal of like moving up as fast as I can, because I think that you lose a sense of development when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've done a really good job of like being where my feet are. You know, it's kind of a cliche saying, but my fiance and I thank God I have her, you know, because playing 6 games a week, you tend to really idolize baseball, and she's really made sure that I know baseball is just kind of something that I do. It's not who I am as a person. But
right.
That's also helped me move up quicker, and it definitely, I was not expecting to get the call to Chattanooga as early as I did this year, but I'm beyond excited to be here and help them win.
Well, on behalf of the Chattanooga fans, we're happy to have you here and glad the way the season has started out. So, what's the biggest difference you've noticed traveling from each level? Like, how about college to summer ball?
Yeah, college to summer ball, it really, like, there really was not that big of a difference to me. I think summer ball, it's a little more low-key. It's more like minor league baseball, if that makes sense. If you're playing 6 games a week, people have certain playing time, like, already kind of scheduled out just because that's the reason that their college sends them there in the first place.
Right.
I think from a talent standpoint, most leagues have plenty of guys that are very capable of playing baseball at a really high level. I mean, the Otterbots, for example, Callan Moss is in the Double-A with the Pirates now, and like, he was signed as a free agent, but like I called pitches against him for 2 years, and he hated it the whole time. And I told one of my coaches my first year there, I was like, I mean, this dude's pretty legit. Like, I don't know why he's at this JUCO that he's at, you know what I mean? And here he is in Double-A, like, tearing it up. And it's like, you kind of like, when you understand the game a little bit, like, know, like, when somebody has the kind of hit factor, and you see that all over the place in college and summer ball. But the huge jump kind of happens when you go from, like, high-level college baseball to even low-A. Like, there's such a significant difference in that jump.
So what about when you go from, like, okay, you're in low A, and I've heard the stories about, you know, there may be 100 fans because it's daytime games and you're baking in the sun. What about from, like, Tortugas to the Dragons? What shocked you the most or excited you the most?
That jump was awesome for me, because playing in East Carolina, like, the best thing about playing in East Carolina that I didn't even mention earlier is it's an unbelievable fan base where you have 5,000 people at every single home game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, playing in front of that many fans in Dayton, like, I just feel like it elevates the way that I play and who I am as a player. Like, when there's people there that are cheering you on and that excited for something, it calms me down to a certain extent. It's almost like I'm exactly where I need to be. And it was an awesome, really, really fun jump to make from playing a game in St. Lucie the day before where there were 4 fans, and I'm pretty sure they were all related, to 7,500 and DHing the next night in front of them 24 hours later.
That's what I've seen.
Really, really fun jump.
And I actually went back and looked, and at the game that I went to in Dayton, you were playing in Dayton. So I got to see you there, even though I didn't know that this would come to fruition, but I did see you play in Dayton. And that is, they just, their fan involvement seems like just on point compared to a lot of other teams I see. So I was really impressed with that. So you've come to Chattanooga, you're at AA, you're at this brand new beautiful park in Erlanger Park, and I know you didn't get to play in AT&T Field, but I'm sure if you talked to some of the players that were there, you didn't miss nothing.
No, I've heard horror stories about that place.
It is. I actually ended up buying a couple of the lockers from the training or the dressing room there, and to go in there and see the kind of environment it was versus what I've seen elsewhere, I was shocked myself. So I know you understand being blessed to play at Erlanger Park. What's that been like coming to Chattanooga? What's the city been like for you? What's the ballpark, the team, all that? What's it been like?
It's been awesome. Chattanooga is an awesome city. I really didn't know a ton about it. My mom's side of the family lives in Knoxville, and so I never went anywhere except for Knoxville when I did go to Tennessee. But I'm a big fan of Chattanooga, just how much there is to do around there, and it just seems like it's kind of a bustling place, and it's an enjoyable place, especially for my fiance and dog. You know, there's plenty of hikes for them to go on, plenty of things for them to do all over the place. So It's been awesome for the three of us. And then the stadium's unbelievable. Like, just obviously brand new, but like this facilities are just top notch. Like it's a place that you're really, really excited to get back to when you leave the road series. And then just AA baseball it's like really easy to say, like you've always wanted to play AA baseball, and like I don't know, I told my dad like my first game when I got called up was against the Montgomery Biscuits, and I played LB the show my whole life, and one of the players that I made, very first time I ever made my own guy in the game, played for the Montgomery Biscuits, and I was like, it's just kind of weird that like this is my life now. It's like somebody's controlling a video game, and I'm the one actually playing.
That's awesome. I love the way you put that. So let me ask you this: who are the biggest characters in the locker room? I kind of have my assumption, but you tell me.
Biggest characters in the locker room. I feel like, honestly, and it's not because I'm biased to myself. I think that if you were to ask around, that people would say it's me, just simply because of the stuff that goes on in my head that I say out loud. I guess it's not nothing bad, you know. It's just a little bit different. People talk about how I'm kind of like a little squirrel. I just kind of like move from one thing to the other and say whatever.
I love it.
Other than me, you know, Will Cannon and Ethan Sikorsky are hilarious when they're together. They try and they say it all the time. They're like, that's a bit. Like, they're just trying to get reactions out of people, and it's hilarious. If you're in on it, if you're not in on it, then it could be a little bit of like race bait situation.
Right.
But I have a pretty good awareness for sarcasm, so I find it hilarious. But Ruben is got to be the other one, though. I mean, what you guys see when you watch him play is exactly what you get in the locker room, too.
That was the one I would have assumed right there, just because of how animated he is and how you just see he loves playing the game, too. So that would have been my guess as well.
Those are the guys that are so much fun to play with. That's, you know, like, he's done so well at this level, and he still goes out there every single game, and he, like, does his double celebration, you know, and I think that it's something that I can relate to at the same time. It's like, if you get so caught up in, like, are you going to move up? Are you going to, like, get where you want to get one day, and you don't really enjoy where you are? And I think Ruben's such a great example of somebody that enjoys every single second of every day exactly where he is.
Well, I have two more questions, and then we'll finish up. What's been the biggest non-baseball challenge you faced playing minor league baseball?
Biggest non-baseball challenge. There's a few that stand out. That's a big one.
A few is fine.
For me, it's just been like, how do I not get consumed with baseball? You know, I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand. Like, when you play 6 games a week, like, you're not showing up at 5 o'clock and playing a game at 7, you know? Like, you're in the field from 11:30 or 12 until 10. So, like, the biggest struggle, like, it's kind of caused by baseball, I guess you can say, but I feel like the best answer I can give is, like, how can I be completely present with my fiance and my dog, and, like, be who I need to be outside of baseball. That way I can be who I need to be when I'm at the field. And I think that that's something that minor league baseball has kind of created, that challenge of, like, not getting consumed with work or, like, understanding the aspects of life that are truly important,
Right. Does she live here with Chattanooga with you?
Yeah, she does. We're lucky enough where the housing the Reds get us, they allow for her to live with me, and I just pay a pet fee for the dog. And other than taking him out at 5 a.m. sometimes, I'm so blessed to have him with me.
Well, and I can only imagine that improves your mental health, just coming back to not an empty place or, say, a place you share with 4 other players, to come home to your family. And, trust me, I understand. I have 3 kids and 2 dogs, and I'm not going to choose between who I love more. But having that coming home seems like a very, very strong support of your mental health and just keeping you grounded.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I think that's kind of the part of growing up that you don't know you need to do until the situation kind of presents itself. Like, it's okay, baseball is your whole life, and when you're 19 years old, but you go through struggles when you're 19 because baseball is your whole life. You just don't realize it. But, like, to have Cecilia and my dog Moose, like, it's almost like there's a bigger purpose for me and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and like all of a sudden, like, how I carry myself every day, like, is more important than how I perform on the baseball field, and it's like, it's such a calming thing. Like, she keeps me very invested in my faith, like, understanding, like, just as much as important as, like, performance is for me, is for moving up and getting to the end goal of being a big leaguer, like, how I respond to that and how people see my reactions and see my responses, and, like, do they see God through the way that I'm acting? Like, she keeps me in such an unbelievable headspace. Like, it might be the biggest challenge. Like, how can I not carry baseball home with me? Like, how can I be the best version of myself at home? But it's a lot of fun being able to go home to your family and being able to live for a bigger purpose. But it's a challenge too.
I understand. Well, the last question, I saw your incredible video on the Lookouts social media where you basically gave your testimony and talked about how important your faith is, and that just resonated with me. It's sometimes hard to do that nowadays, and for you to be able to do that and be forthright, that's incredible. And how does your faith impact your daily life as a baseball player?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate you mentioning that too. I think that it's something that I think you're starting to see more and more athletes share their faith, and I think it's such a beautiful thing because I really do, especially, like, moving up into the AA level. Like, I feel like people not see us as, like, a show, you know what I mean? But, like, I don't think they truly understand, like, some of the stuff that you hear people say, all that. Like, it's like they think this net that's in front of us, in front of them, like, it gives them the ability to say whatever or treat us like, like we're just there for their entertainment. And it's like, I think the more you can get into your faith, the more you can relate to people and understand, like, we're very, very real people that, like, representing ourselves and our faith is a lot more important than anything else that we're doing out there. Yeah, my faith, especially with my fiancée Cecilia, like, she is so knowledgeable in Scripture, so knowledgeable in the application of it. And I got baptized my junior year at East Carolina and really, really started to apply it. And I'm not perfect all the time, but it's a totally calming feeling knowing that God's written everything out. And I write a schedule every single day for myself, but the way that I like to think about it is that God wrote a schedule out the exact same way that I did for today. And no matter what I want to happen, whatever he wants to happen is going to happen, and it's going to be a lot better than anything that I wrote down,
Absolutely.
And just being okay with that and understanding that, like, it might not look better on paper day to day, but then you look at it week to week, month to month, it's so much better than whatever I'm trying to do, whatever I want to do, and I think that you have to be accepting and understand, like, if anything, that should calm you down to the highest degree.
That's about as perfect answer as I think I could have expected. And Ryan, I appreciate that. Man, I tell you, I know we went back and forth over this and to get this interview scheduled, and I appreciate you you taking the time. Like I said, I'm a big fan of yours. The more I've researched you and got to know you over preparing for this interview, the more I've just been impressed with your path, and I have no doubt that you're going to be playing in the Cincinnati Stadium, and you're going to just be incredible. So I look forward to when I'm able to shake your hand at the park, hopefully before you end up in Louisville or even higher. And I got a baseball ready for you to be signed, so I can add it to my collection. And other than that, man, just my best to you, to Cecilia, to Moose. Please be careful on the highway traveling down there, and I look forward to meeting you in person. And thank you for doing this, Ron.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun talking.
Sounds good.
Seeing you in person one of these days soon.
That sounds good. Thanks, Ryan. Safe travels. I really want to thank Ryan for sharing his story with us. And as you can tell, he's just a great kid, and he's having the opportunity to live almost every boy's dream. Now, when we interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, he was with the Chattanooga Lookouts. Recently, he was sent down to the Dayton Dragons, but I have no doubt that he will return and surpass Chattanooga, making it to Louisville, and eventually will find a spot on the Reds roster. Wish him the best of luck, and just that allows us to remember that there's heart and souls involved with these players. They're not just names on a roster, and that there's hopes and dreams all tied up in, and I wish Ryan the best and hope he fulfills every dream he has. That being said, that is our first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was not too out of the box. We will have a lot of fun going forward. This is a passion of mine. I hope to get better every week. I'm new at this. I'm open for any criticism or critique. Just please follow, enjoy, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.